I'm doing Krobus. I made a Stardew Valley video recently. Quite a few different things I had to do. I had to photo scan the cauliflower spinning in Matt's hand. That was cool. Probably the highest resolution photo scan I've ever done. I'll do a whole photo scanning video at some point. There was also the Iridium bar, which was me seeing how much unnecessary effort I could put into making a metal cube. Arguably the easiest thing to make in CGI. And then there was Krobus, who, depending on how you consider it, is I think my first fully CGI character. I've done like digital people before, but in my mind it doesn't count because they were more like props. This is the first one where there was like character design went into it and I had to intentionally animate it and make it feel alive. This feels more like the first actual digital character present in a video. He's not really that complicated. So I have this one close-up of him kind of popping up in front of me, which I just did sort of like fake slow motion for. I have the wide shot where he's actually like standing and you can see his feet contacting the ground, so there's at least a little bit of interaction with the environment there. The first issue with Krobus was just a design decision because in the game he's just like a black silhouette. He's just like a void being. It was never gonna look real, but I at least wanted it to look interesting. My first actual idea that I ended up using was to make him volumetric. Textures normally work by you unwrap all of these squares or triangles or whatever your model is made out of, and then you just apply like an image texture or set certain properties in Blender. It uses all that information to reflect light off of the surface. If you want to do a volumetric shader, it uses all of the interior of the object. It's how you get like atmosphere or underwater or in this case a weird gelatin-looking blob man. I played around with the volume settings on him a lot, and I tried to add some like variation and some noise into like how dense the thickness was at any given point. Obviously, like his legs and his little hair thing are lighter because they're smaller, so there just isn't as much, volume to them. He does have a little bit of color to him. I added some more purple, and so it's not just like completely solid black. And then I also added a little bit of a surface shader on top of that. So he's got like dense smoky on the inside, and then he's kind of reflective and see-through on the outside. And then it also distorts the scene through him, which is what kind of makes that like jello look. At the very least, I think I accomplished my goal of making him look interesting. I don't know how you would make him look more real. Sometimes that's not really the goal, because a real version of Krobus is probably terrifying. His face is actually just a separate video texture. I just animated this in After Effects, and I literally just stuck it inside the jello body, and it kind of follows it around as it moves, and then the white parts emit light. I took a very simple approach to animating Krobus. He just sort of blobs around here as he's like yelling at Matt. This is Matt, obviously. I set up this really basic armature, and then I set these two little foot bones and this little upper head bone as the control points, and those are the only things that I animated. I can just grab this upper control here, and if I move it around, he will just sort of jiggle, and the motion influences all the other bones in the chain. His feet have IK constraints also, but I just don't move them, and so they stay stuck. That means when I move this one control bone at the top, now he's like a little puppet. His face, you can see it poking out if I drag it too far. And then to really get the wiggly puppet feel, I can actually just hit record down here on the timeline, and then play it and move it at the same time like this. And it's actually just recording every little movement I do, and now I'm done. Hands free, and it keeps on going. You can already see the other animation happening, which is his little hair thing here actually just has an add-on applied to it called Wigglebones. You can download Wigglebones and install it onto Blender for free. I did the same thing for this shot, and then was able to bake the wiggle physics into keyframes and then just stretch them out so that you get the nice slow motion like... But yeah, it was my first time trying that animation method. I'm a big fan because it was super easy, and I'm kind of curious to try it on more complicated things later. Thank you to everybody who's been leaving suggestions in the comments. I already have a couple that I want to do, so please keep leaving them. I'm looking forward to working on some of those. In general, I will probably make these breakdowns off of effects that are in videos on the main channel, but sometimes there may not be, and sometimes it might be a repetition of something I've already done. So if you do have any suggestions, past videos you'd like to see, effects you'd like to see me attempt, things you'd like me to explain in further detail, please leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week for more. See ya.